How's it going, people? This is Shreds with Top Knot Productions, back for episode 4 of Space Marines gameplay. No cutscene right away after this one. I already got the count up going, that's good. There's another one. Heading back into the Games of 2012 preview. This will be another couple episodes. There's quite a few games coming out in 2012 that I'm looking forward to. So I'm going to review those over the next couple episodes. First one I want to talk about was actually not going to be 2012. The release date was announced this morning. Coming out December 20th, 2011 is the biggest MMO that I've been looking forward to, Star Wars The Old Republic. I may or may not have participated in the beta on that one. I don't know if the NDA is still going on, but I liked a lot of things I may or may not have seen. A lot of the things that I may or may not have done in that game were excellent. If you get where I'm going with this one. The only problem that I would foresee, I had a similar experience with Rift. I don't know if you guys have heard about that one. That was another MMO released earlier this year. I was really into it. I played the beta, played the pre-release, and game time came around, got about 15-20 levels into it, and just kind of got bored with it. A lot of that may have been because the community of players I was with was not entirely active, so that I'm sure that contributed to it. But the gameplay was not there. You know, after playing it for a month straight with beta and then getting reset for pre-release, the unofficial pre-release release, for pre-order, I played it again, got further into it, just really wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. So it lost my patronage. Star Wars The Old Republic, as you may or may not know, is based on the Star Wars universe, if I can actually pronounce things properly. Going to be taking about 5,000 years before the events of the movies. The Sith and the Jedi run rampant in the galaxy. If you haven't checked it out, check out a lot of the trailers and such for that. It's going to be a very interesting game. I'm big into the Star Wars universe as we get the jump pack here. This is a fun level from the demo. It was featured. Old Republic, I don't know how I feel. If you asked me this question a couple months ago, while I was possibly or possibly not participating in the beta, it would have been a very different answer, but now I'm not so sure. The release date email kind of sunk home how I was feeling about it. I'm not entirely certain I'll play it. If I do pick it up, I'll probably put a few videos up just so you guys can see what's up with it if you're curious. Maybe by then I'll have the live streaming working, not lime streaming. Stream a lime, whatever. The live streaming I may have working right now. I'm just having some audio issues, mostly because I have an old computer. So I can stream video, but the audio cuts in and out, and it's very annoying, so I don't want to do it. With Old Republic, there's a lot of potential there. I'm just not sure it will grab me the way other games have. And now that I'm dedicating a lot of time to this channel, I'm not sure I'll have the time to put as much effort into it as I would if I were really going to take it serious. We're going to move on to the next game. Don't really have a lot of information on it, but it was hinted as being developed, possibly being released late in 2012, is Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know if that's something there's really any information on. I was doing some surfing around on the internet. That's a potential release in 2012, but nothing really firm, no real information, so I doubt that's going to be out there. If I find some more, I'll do an update for it and let you guys know. But I've enjoyed the Grand Theft Auto series. I played the very first ones, the old top-down view on the original PlayStation, I think it was. And I've played them all since then. It's a very interesting series, kind of pushes the envelope as far as what's acceptable in video games. It has been very controversial. So I look forward to what could happen there. Next thing I want to hit on is an extension of the Fable Journey. It's actually called the Fable The Journey. Not a whole lot of information is released on this. I believe it was hinted at E3, and there was like a reveal trailer that was a little controversial. I believe this takes place outside of the main quote-unquote bloodline storyline they do, where all of the heroes from the 3 games so far have been all of the same lineage. I believe this takes place outside of that, so it's going to be a character non-related to the previous heroes. The controversy came because it was not the typical free roam gameplay style that we've seen featured in Fable. They mentioned it as and I'm quoting some other article here, it was a on-rails shooter. I'm not sure how we're going to get from the Fable series to an on-rails shooter. It's that translation or transition will not come easily. Otherwise, it's still being done by Peter Molyneux, who's an eccentric but interesting guy to play games from. The series overall has been great. There's a lot of questions about this upcoming game. That's also slated for late in 2012. There's not a whole lot of information out about it. The other game I wanted to talk about, since I am fairly deep into the fighting game community, is Soul Calibur 5. That was released, or the teaser trailer, I believe, was out late last year, and it's been developing in this year through the Game Expos, E3, Tokyo Game Show. There's one in Germany, I don't remember the name of it, but there was information released there. The main thing I pay attention to in the the fighting game community is Street Fighter. No mix up there. One of the guys who interacts a lot with that community is Mark Julio, or Markman, as he's more commonly known. And he actually works with Mad Catz. Came up in the Tekken community with Rich. I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name, but his tag is Filthy Rich. He actually works for Namco Bandai, so we hear a lot through those two about Soul Calibur 5. An interesting thing with Soul Calibur 5, they're actually changing it up to be a lot more dynamic than the previous games. You'll have more of the super moves that you see lately in fighting games. So if you check out some of the trailers and stuff for that, you'll notice that there's not just your typical, what they would call in the Street Fighter community, normal moves. There's super moves. I think Mitsurugi's the guy's name, but he will hit you up into the air and do a super move where it's like 5 slashes. If you check out the trailers, you can see him. It's a little strange. They've also put in some new characters as well as returning characters, still announcing the list on that one. Soul Calibur's never really been my thing as far as fighting games. It's hard to say if that's going to be any good or not. I do have several friends who are into Soul Calibur and Tekken. I'm much more of a 2D fighter. So you'll catch me on, let's say, Street Fighter or Marvel, things like that. Again, I'm not very good at them, as I hinted at in a couple episodes previous, but I do participate in them, and I'll be featuring Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, if I can actually talk today. Later on, once that's released, that is my release schedule. Take a breath here. Other things coming out, there's Ninja Gaiden 3. I'm not a huge fan of this series, but it has been getting some press lately. I don't have a whole lot of information on that one. I played Sigma, which was released for the PS3 way back when, and that kind of got a little bit grasp on me, but the story never grasped me. The gameplay just seemed kind of linear and plain. It wasn't really my thing. That's my same feelings on the Devil May Cry series. I know people may hate me for that, but I was never really that into it. We were talking earlier about fighting games. With that comes Street Fighter being one of my areas of interest. We have the Arcade Edition 2012, or as we call it around here, Apology Edition. The reason for this one, there was a lot of complaints in Arcade Edition, the recent release, of certain characters being amazingly overpowered, certain characters getting nerfs that made them essentially useless, and a lot of tweaks and changes that just kind of destroyed the game from the community standpoint. Ono-san, the producer of the Street Fighter series for Capcom, has said that he's going to go ahead and put out this 2012 Apology Edition. That's not what he's calling it, that's what I call it. He's going to put out AE 2012, and it's already out in arcades in Japan, I believe, for testing. But he's going to go ahead and release that, and he's going to be done with the Street Fighter 4 series. So that is going to be the last release, and we'll just have to deal with that. The changes in that mainly came because of the community complaining. The characters Yun and Yang were way too good for the community to play any other characters and have it be tournament viable. The Street Fighter community is very much, if you're playing serious, you're going to be playing in tournaments. There's actually a tournament going on today in my area that I'm missing to put out this content, so it shows you how much I am devoted to this project I'm undergoing with YouTube and to you guys. But with the 2012 edition, they're replacing a lot of nerfs that were put on certain characters. A lot of things are getting buffed as a way to balance things out. And they're making some of the less used characters a lot more interesting. There's Gen and Goken, two of the characters that were least played are getting a lot of buffs, so they'll be actually tournament viable. It'll be very interesting just to see how that shakes up the dynamic. Let's see what else is on my list. There's not a whole lot. I could go over the entire list of changes for Arcade Edition, but I just don't think that's interesting to people, so I'm going to pass on that one. Another thing I'm interested in, I've got about 2 minutes worth to talk, and I could talk for 2 minutes about this one, that I'm really looking forward to is Counter-Strike Global Operations. I've been very disappointed with the caliber of shooting games that have been released recently. A lot of them have been the cover-based, regen your health type thing, which is not what I grew up on. I very much grew up on the Counter-Strike philosophy, where it's pretty much one and done. It's much more realistic shooter. There's no health recovery, there's no cover mechanic, and there's no basically cheap way to play, if you can think about it that way. If you've ever played any of the Counter-Strike games, you know what I'm talking about, where the recent series of games have been kind of, if you allow the use of the word, pussified. They've been made far too easy for the community. So I look forward to a more hardcore standpoint for these games. With Counter-Strike Global Operations, it's getting a entire visual makeover, but it does still resemble its origins. The gameplay has not changed much. They've rebalanced things, added some new guns, some new grenades. They've added a Molotov cocktail. Not entirely effective, but it's a more strategic weapon. So say you want to prevent people from coming down a certain hallway for a period of time, you throw down a Molotov cocktail. Stumbling over words here. The other thing, they're bringing back a lot of the maps with new skins on them, so they look a lot better. They're also putting in some new maps, and I believe they may be putting in some new gameplay types. I believe also that is going into a testing beta here in October. With that, I will go ahead and wrap this up. My name is Shreds. Thank you for joining me. Have a good one.